Alright, I have my Shrinky Dink ready, and what I'm doing is I'm just preparing this to shrink in the oven. I have my oven preheated at 325, and what I'm going to do is I have a pan in the oven, and you could see that in there. What I have in there is it's parchment paper on the cookie sheet. Then I actually have a screen on there. You'll see that in a moment. The screen's just going to keep the Shrinky Dink from curling up on itself. Now, I always like to preheat the cookie sheet because that more evenly heats the Shrinky Dink. It doesn't curl as much. You want to be careful when you're doing this because I'm going to bring this out, take the screen off, set the Shrinky Dink on it, then put the screen back on top. In my other demonstration, I just use foil. Problem with foil is it works very well, but the Shrinky Dink does tend to stick to it sometimes. The Shrinky Dink does not stick to the parchment paper. So if you're doing this at home, what you could do is put parchment paper on the cookie sheet. You could put some parchment paper on top, then a piece of foil on top of that to keep it kind of weighed. But you don't want to put like a weight of a cookie sheet on top of it, because if you do that, it's not going to move at all, and it's going to prevent it from shrinking evenly. I'm going to move the screen here. The screen doesn't really retain any heat. I'm going to place this on there, put the screen on top. And then we just wait about a minute it takes. And you'll see it's already starting to shrink, and look at how it moves. That's why we have that screen on top. Now I did put the shiny side down, colored pencil side up. Sometimes if you put the colored pencil side down as it's sliding across things, the colored pencil will rub off, and we don't want that. Now what I like to do at this point, now that it's shrunk the majority of the way, I'm going to pull that screen off. Okay, and you could see it's just got to finish shrinking now a little bit. It's a little curved at the moment. So I'm just going to give it another minute to kind of fully heat thoroughly till it flattens out. Alright, and that looks like it's about done. Now what you want to do is you do want to make sure it is completely flat before you pull it out. If you accidentally distort it when you pull this out and transferring it to cool, you could always put it back in the oven, heat it back up, so you could flatten it out. So I'm going to pull this out now. When usually what I like to do is take a metal spatula that's cold, pull it off onto a cold surface and just flatten it. And that cools it off really fast. And you could see what we have here now is homemade Shrinky Dink made from a takeout container. You could see this is the clear side with the image going through it. And then here's the colored pencil side. I actually prefer the colored pencil side. Now you do want to seal this. Easiest way to seal this, I like to use workable fixative, but obviously a lot of you probably don't have this. You could actually use clear hairspray. Just make sure you don't overload it. Put a nice light coat on it, because this will rub off. All that pigment from the colored pencil is concentrated, as you can see. Now with the permanent marker, you probably don't have to seal that, but since this is colored pencil, you're going to want to seal it. So that's it, Shrinky Dink made from a takeout container.